Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're calling from. It's great to see you. My name's Mike. I'm one of the co-founders here at Waybook.com, and I'm really excited to see many of you friendly, familiar names and faces pile into today's webinar. For those of you who've been here before, you know what we're going to do. We're going to explore what are the product updates, the new things, the great things that have been released in the last month. And hopefully give you some hints, tips, and tricks in terms of how you can turn these features into real value of how you're managing your knowledge within your teams. And for those of you who are new, welcome. We are here every month. We like to get a feel on what we're putting out, sharing that with you, and of course, getting your thoughts and your feedback as we continue to go. And there's a few different ways that we can keep in touch over this session. So first of all, we've got a series of polls and questions and thoughts coming your way, one of which you will have seen just launched on your screen now. And then also, please feel free to jump into the chat. We've got the fantastic Elle in the background who's there to answer any of your thoughts, questions, or just keep the conversation going. So please feel free to jump in, say hello, share where you're calling from. And then the final thing is we do also have the Q&A section as well. So please feel free, if any thoughts, questions, inspirations do ping up, do chuck that in the Q&A and I will endeavour to answer that live on the webinar. Or of course, Elle is always on hand. She's often faster than me at most things, so she probably will actually answer your questions and then I'll come on to that as we move through. So thanks so much for joining us. I can see from the polls coming in, we're 50% founders, owners of the people that have answered the poll so far, so that might change. A few people in operations, a few people in HR, a few people in other department, which I do think this regularly. I do need to specify other departments rather than just those top three. Most people here are looking to create and house your SOPs. So if that is you, you are not alone, but also a lot of people are looking to train new and existing team members. And all of us, interestingly, are between 1 and 100. So many of our colleagues and Waybook users that have bigger businesses are not on the call today. So that's really great to see who's in the room. And it's a great opportunity for me to be able to tailor what we're talking a little bit more into the kind of 1 to 100 marker as well. So on March updates, what are we going to cover? We basically have been incredibly busy over here at Waybook. We're really focusing on some fundamental things that are really focused on helping you onboard people in a really logical way. But there is a massive update which has gone out in terms of permissions. It's already out. Many of you may have seen it. But I just want to share with you some of the power that lies behind it. So one of the core things that's really been a core focus for us is document permissions, and I'll share what that is very briefly. We also have something which I suspect many people may not have seen. What you might have noticed, what we do in Waybook is we speak to many people like you who are using Waybook, try and understand those core different areas of how we can continue to improve, optimize, and kind of increase the value Waybook creates. We'll put a feature out, we'll see how it feels, we'll see what you think before we release it. Waybook commands is one of those, so it's in your account, but you might not know it yet. We also then have additional filters that have gone across all of the tables, which I'll show you that, which has been essential in order for us to manage teams and manage reports much more efficiently. We've had collaboration improvements and also speed optimizations. And I'm really excited to share with you what else we have coming up over the next few weeks. So before we do, as I like to jump into, let's have a quick look and a reminder of what success actually looks like. Now, I'd like to introduce Josh Turner. Josh is the co-founder and CEO of Stand for Socks. Josh basically said that by onboarding his team members and centralizing his knowledge within Waybook, he was able to reduce his onboarding time to just 20%. So it used to take him a few weeks to onboard someone effectively. He's now able to do that in just 20% of the time. He's also been able to entirely remove himself from the day-to-day operational conversations. So he has an international team across a few different time zones, which I know a lot of us on the call do as well. And actually, he found that if there was a question pending, sometimes people would have to wait the next day before they could unblock themselves. And he entirely removed himself from that being a bottleneck. And then finally, the consistency he was creating in his customer success department meant that he was able to achieve and maintain a 4.8% on Trustpilot, which is what he said is essential for him maintaining his consistent sales and growth. If you have had really interesting successes or basically any experience with Waybook, we always love to hear from you. So please do get in touch. And we'd love to see how you're using Waybook, what you're finding from it, what value you're getting, and how we can extend that value. But without further ado, let's jump in. Let's explore what document permissions actually are. Now, if we boil down what Waybook is as a tool, it's essentially a really great structured, searchable, consistent content editor and content store with a very strong and flexible permissions system on top of it. Now, of course, we've got the tests, we've got the searching, we've got the reports, we've got everything else. But the fundamental part of this is making sure that we have the right knowledge in front of the right people at the right time. Now, as many of you will know, you can create content and assign that or make that available to your team on a subject level. But because we wanted to enable the ability to create even more specific permissions without jeopardizing and while maintaining the perfect content structure for your team, we've introduced the ability to set permissions on a document level as well as a subject level. Now, this will override your subject permissions, and it will also enable you to individually set permissions on an individual user. Okay, what does that actually mean? And I know that sometimes, particularly if you're in the early stages of your Waybook, this can sound confusing. It's absolutely not. So what I'm going to do is just jump into a Waybook account now. I'll do a bit of a click around because this is available in all of your accounts. So you can get a sense of how this works and how you can create it for your team. So if I just share my screen over here, for those of you who are just still entering the world of Waybook, you'll know that actually the permissions or the structure of your knowledge is really within these 3 individual tiers or 4 individual tiers. You've got your categories, you've got your subjects. In each subject, you have a series of documents, and your documents are essentially a series of steps. Now, when you are assigning your content to people, you essentially assign people on a subject level, which is this level here. So say, for example, we're creating a sales team, we might enable the sales handbook for the sales team. But the question arose recently, and by many of you, what if we have some sales content within our sales handbook that we only want our sales managers to see? Or marketing content that we only want our marketing managers or people not involved in marketing. We might want to make the brand guidelines available to everyone without the whole marketing documentation. So, of course, what most people do is they will then simply go into edit mode. They might duplicate or they might create a new structure, which is, say, sales management. And then from that sales management subject, they might actually say, okay, well, we're going to put the objections in there. We're going to put the how we pass to operations in there. And then they'll essentially make that subject available to the sales managers and the other subject available to the sales operators. But, ladies and gentlemen, no more do you need to jeopardize the integrity of the structure of your content, because right now you're able to create a group that can access all of your permissions on a subject and on a document basis. Let me show you how. So if I go into group members, into permissions and members and go into groups, we highly recommend, no matter how big your team size is, we highly recommend that you manage your groups and your permissions using this feature, using the groups feature. So if we go into marketing executives here, we can decide who is a marketing executive. So let's say we add in the member, we've got Andrea, L, James, and Mike here. And then we can also look at the group content that we're creating. So in this group content, you'll see that you're able to easily add any of your subjects within here. So, you know, these are all of the ones that are hidden. If you want to look at all of your content, including the ones that are in, you can just toggle over into subjects there. But let's say we also want to add in some of the customer support documentation within there. Now, of course, we can add in that whole subject and that will disappear and go into there. But say, for example, we don't want to add the whole of that customer support. We can just simply click on this block down here, and it will show us all of the documents within that subject. So instead of turning all of it on, we might say, okay, well, we actually don't want to show them the support basics or the support tools or the tickets. We want to just share them FAQs. Now, you'll be able to see here that this subject is not an complete subject with this icon here, and you can really jump into just the specific documents that that group can see. You can also achieve this from this view when you're adding in content. Instead of sharing all of the policies, for example, you can actually just decide what policies you want. So we're going to share them, how to book annual leave, but we're not going to share the disciplinary process, how to raise an issue, and perhaps GDPR we might want to put in. And of course, you can be really specific with actually creating an individual document and giving a group either edit or publish access to that as well. So this gives you a whole nother layer of flexibility in terms of the information and the content that you're creating. And hopefully that will give you a lot of inspiration of how you can manage the knowledge within your team. So what I would recommend is always focus within groups. First, create the structure that works for you from an organizational perspective, from a content, and then when you come into your groups, just decide what group of people needs to see, feel, and touch each individual thing. Now, this also means that unlocks a whole different area of being able to set permissions on a subject itself. So, on a document itself. So if I toggle over into the edit here, instead of going through the groups or going through the members, you can just click on access and we can actually add a group to that specific document, or we can even override an individual person's permission. So say if I just really quickly want to give L edit access or publish access to that, I can then override that, toggle that on that group, and you'll see that this will ping up as an override. Now, what's really interesting here is at any point, you can click on any of your individual users and you're able to see exactly what they can and they can't see. Based on the groups that they're in, based on the content that they can see. We can see here that Elle can only see some part, or there's an amendment to that. So she can actually only see publish rather than that whole document. And we're able to then override this. You'll notice that we gave her that manual permission on the getting started. And that means that if you ever want to remove that manual override, you just click that there and that will take it away. So, ladies and gentlemen, do not feel constrained, do not feel confused, create the content you need, create the groups that you need, put people in as and when you want. If you ever need support with this, please always let us know. We're always on hand to help you set up your groups effectively. And the reason why we recommend groups is once you do it once, you never have to do it again. A new person joins, you add them into the group that's necessary, and they all get the content they need, now with document permissions rather than subject permissions. So I'm just going into the chat here oh, cool. Okay, so Mahi there is just saying that access on the group level and even on the user level is very cool. Yeah, so basically, if you think of these different things as the subjects and the document level, you've got the individual level and the group level, you can actually access these pieces of documentation in any individual way, and all of them will sync and connect together. So don't feel constrained. Work as you wish for it to work, and Waybook will support you in whatever you need to do. Okay, so one last question relevant to that. So Mahi also said, does Waybook focus on internal teams or also external customer portals? So as a fundamental principle, Waybook is a single source of truth. So we design and build the tool, things like the document permissions, to help you kind of create this knowledge and this single source of truth. It's designed so every time you've got a new person joining, they don't have to keep on asking you 100 questions. They can say, okay, where are the logo files? They can go straight to those logo files. They can go directly to that core piece of information. But sometimes we actually do want to share our brand guidelines externally, or we see a lot of people using Waybook for their terms of service, for their website or their privacy policy. Now, because we truly believe in the power of having a single source of truth, and because Waybook is designed in order for you to have really clear and consistent structure of your knowledge, you can actually enable any of your individual documents by going to edit, by going to settings. You can enable that document to be accessible for publicly sharing. So you can see here, I've enabled public sharing. If I open or copy that Waybook link, we can now send that to anybody, and without them being involved or being logged in, they're easily able to get access to that clear and consistent brand guidelines in that Waybook style that we know and love. So they can go through, they can proceed to next. Now, it's worth noting that obviously this isn't searchable because it goes into an individual document. Waybook users on a pro plan can actually get a whole subject on a publicly shareable link. Of course, this doesn't mean that tests aren't available on public sharing because it's not joined to an individual user, but it's really great. And Mahi, this is how you would enable it to be externally focused. So we see a lot of service providers use this to share client onboarding and share what to prepare before a session, or how to deliver things to the office, or whatever that may be. Okay, cool. If anyone's thinking, why didn't Elle answer that chat? I must confess, Elle messaged me to answer that chat there. She said for some reason she can't message directly to Mahi. So thank you, Elle, for keeping me organized here in the background. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the second thing. Now, I know I'm kind of pleased that a few of you in the chat have said how much you like that addition, because I'm kind of casual about it. I'm saying, yeah, you can do this. It's been a massive piece of work, and we know that this fundamentally changes how you manage your knowledge. It really does change everything in terms of giving you that next level of flexibility. And I know for sure from speaking with many of you that the Waybook users who have structured and created your content will know just how powerful that is as well. So huge thank you for your support there. Okay, let's move on. What's the next thing? The next thing is that feature I told you about that is in your account, but you might not know is in your account. This is Waybook Commands. Now, Waybook Commands is a new command center that we've built within your Waybook accounts. The reason why we started it is because essentially we are focused on making your life easier, making it easier for you to centralize your knowledge, to kind of create this single source of truth. And it's all about making you efficient, making it easy, and make it enjoyable for your people and your teams to really rally around the knowledge and create this culture of iterative improvement. But sometimes we just don't have the time. And if we want to add someone, yes, you can click around, and we really focus on there being minimal clicks. We really focus on you getting to the knowledge, to the team, to the report as quickly as possible. But we basically want to make that one step closer. So we've created a Waybook command center, which is essentially the direction, or the direction we're taking is that anything you want to do within your Waybook, you can do it just by asking Waybook to take you there. So you can achieve this if you're on a Mac by just writing Command K. If you're on a PC, you can write Control K, and holding down those two buttons will introduce the command center where you can then search for the activities you want to do. Now, the reason why this is in your Waybook account and we've not yet released it or announced it to anyone is because we're very much adding new commands all of the time. Our ambition for this is that you can do absolutely anything you want to do within your Waybook from the command center, but we need your help. So if you do start using this and you're like me, I don't like touching my mouse or trackpad. I like being able to do everything from my keyboard. Please ask us what you want to put in the command center, and we'll make sure that you can control it from within there. So let's show you a little bit about how you can do that right now. So you can see that I'm on my Waybook, and say, for example, I want to add a new user. I can literally Command K. I can create a new member, and I'm straight into adding a new team member here, and I can just go that in. Similarly, say if I want to create a new document or a new subject or a new category, I can just jump down to there and then add that new subject or document or category in. Now, what we know a lot of people do when they come into their Waybook, so of course we're focused on building that Waybook, but the search is so important. And say, for example, you don't want to take that extra fraction of a second to move your hand and drag that all the way up to that search bar. You can also Command K, and anything that you're searching within the command center, let's say, for example, logo again, anything that's not in the command center will actually then just automatically search your Waybook. So you'll see here that it will do exactly the same as if I'm pulling up. So we're really excited about this. We've got big plans for it. We really can see this being a way that you can control and navigate your content moving forward. So please do let us know what you think, what you would like to be added into that, and we'll make sure that it is in your account in no time. So that is our second main update for the session. Let's move on to number 3. And I've actually given you a bit of an insight and a bit of a share of this already. So this is actually looking at the various different filtering options, which you would have seen across all of your tables and all of your content. So the reason why we've done this is, again, we want to make it easier and faster for you to manage your team, manage your content, manage your reports. And the way we've done that is, of course, if you've got a long list of people, you've got a long list of content, you've got a long list of kind of knowledge from your reports, sometimes you're scrolling and it's hard to find the actual thing. So all of our tables have now been updated to increase the options for you to manage, filter, and search across all of your Waybook and all of your tables. So this is already out. You can utilize this on your team tables, your reports tables, your audit logs, whatever that may be. And let me show you exactly what that looks like right now. So if I jump back into this Waybook account, let me go into members, for example. Now, if I want to create that group, and I'll go back into that marketing group I was in, say, for example, we've got a lot of, or actually, let me go into the everyone group because that's got a lot of members. I'm able to say, okay, well, I know Elle's in this account. So I just type there and it will filter down to Elle immediately. So you can filter all of your groups. You can search all of your tables in a really easy way. The other thing where this becomes really valuable is when you come into the reports. So say, for example, we've got member progress. Once again, I want to find Elle. Now, of course, this is a demo account and Elle's the most important person in the Waybook community. So of course, Elle's got 4 accounts here, but you can actually then search for, let's search for Bradbury, for example. And there's 2 Elle Bradburys, of course. You've really made that. And there's 2 Mikes, so that's good enough. But you get the principle here. We can search, we can filter for people, and also you can organize and filter your content how you need. The 2 other things that we've added into this, for those of you like me, and I love this so much, but creating search insights, there's additional feature options or filter options on search insights. So for those of you who haven't come across this, welcome, because it's fantastic. But search insights are a great way for you to identify those knowledge gaps in the organization before they become an issue. So we can see here that I've searched logo a few times, and we've got 2 results there. But if we toggle this over into no results, you'll see that we have in the last week, or the last day, the last 28 days, these are all of the search terms that have been searched that haven't got any content within our Waybook. And we can actually rerun that search just by clicking on it. So now I'm thinking, okay, one of my team or 2 of my team have searched for intake. What could that be? That's probably client intake. So now, as the business owner or somebody managing the content here, I want to answer that question that I know people are asking and haven't yet had it answered. So I can create a client intake process or procedure. And of course, you can jump into the template library, or if you want, and what I would do, you can use Waybook AI to actually create that document, that policy, that procedure that you can then optimize and iterate to make it more of your own. So this filtering option, we really hope will enable you to get closer to the knowledge that you need within the table. You can also see it within the audit log as well. So you'll be able to look at the different time periods, all of the actions and all of the members. And I know that for the Waybook Pro members who use this religiously, particularly for compliance, you're able to look at all of the individual members. So let's look at Mike. You can see that everything I did within February, or, just all of the documents that I created within February. And that creates a really, you can see I'm a busy boy. You can see all of the activities of all of the members within that. So that is a great way for you to take more control over your Waybook. And of course, that filtering option across all of your tables really enables you to do that in various different ways. Okay, so let's just move on now to one of the final things I wanted to share with you today. This is essentially Linkbook. as a free tool. Now, this isn't, I must confess, it's not something that has launched within today. It's not something that has launched within the month, but it is something that we put out a while ago. It's basically, yes, Waybook is for all of your knowledge, but sometimes you just need that single source of truth for all of your links. So a very quick way that if you want to share with your team a core piece of knowledge, a core piece of information, for you to create that single source of truth, it's really easy. It's a free tool that anybody can use. And if you go to Linkbook or waybook.com/Linkbook, you'll be able to actually jump straight into that and create your own Linkbook. The reason why we mentioned it today is because actually I've spoken to so many Waybook customers over the last week or so, and 5 of them out of the blue said, Mike, I love Linkbook. Thank you so much for Linkbook. So I thought, we don't really talk about it. It's there. Check it out. See if you love it. Let us know. The final thing also, I'd just like to say this, again, this isn't a specific update, but it's something that has really increased in popularity, is we know the challenge of creating your Waybook, either migrating from an existing system or pulling that knowledge from existing documents, or most importantly, if you have a vision for what your Waybook is, you perhaps don't have the time or be able to make it a priority. We have internal process experts that literally spend all day, every day, working with clients to actually optimize their current knowledge, design out what a Waybook would be in order for them to achieve their goals, capture the knowledge from their minds, from their team's minds, and then utilize both best practice, the templates, and everything we've seen and what they've seen moving forward to actually create you the perfect Waybook, which is executional and ready for you to delegate for your team and enjoy some smooth scaling. So we do have that available as an additional service. If anybody would like to speak to our process consultants, or if you'd like to use any of our data migration services, please do let us know. We're always on hand and we are always available. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing ourselves very much to the end. Another big thing that's happened, which you might not notice, but I certainly did, is we've had a huge amount of speed improvements over the last month. Hopefully you'll feel within your Waybook that it's faster, particularly on reports, that you can get to your content quicker, that you can move, drag and drop, and really manage your content in a more efficient way. That's something that there's been a lot of work on with the team, and that's continuing to happen. What's coming next, and the eagle-eyed amongst you would have already seen it. It's in my account. Obviously, I've got to have some special privileges here as the co-founder, but learning flows is a feature that I'm so incredibly excited about, and I must admit I've been playing with this over the last couple of days. It is coming to your account. If I have a request, I'm not meant to do this. If somebody asked in chat just to have a sneak peek of learning flows, I will happily oblige. So I will keep my eye there. If one of you says, Mike, I'd love to just get a sneak peek of learning flows, I'll show you right now. And then in addition to that, we also have support. Yes, okay, we've got it. Someone's asked for it. I'm in. So Learning Flows is coming soon. Support for all web embeds. Now, a lot of people embed various different pieces of content from around the web, and we enable a lot of web embeds. Soon, we will enable all web embeds without fail, without a shadow of a doubt. And then the final thing that's definitely coming very, very soon is the ability to link to an individual Waybook step. So currently you can interlink your Waybook between subjects, between documents. You'll be able to do that within an individual step coming soon. Okay, right. And so much more. I'm so pleased that you guys have asked to see a sneak peek of learning flows, and I'm surprised. I wasn't even going to do it. I wasn't even going to say it. So when the engineering team tell me off for saying, why are you showing things that that are not ready and are not out yet, I can say it's not my fault. Sam and Suzanne forced me into it on the chat. So thank you very much for supporting me there, you two. So let's just go into here. Now, many of you know that you create your Waybook content, and it's great. You onboard your team, you put them into what they need. They basically can go through all of the content. They can get themselves up to 100%. They can actually go through the content, deciding on what you do and don't want them to see, and they know everything they need. And then as you make a change, it updates them. It's beautiful. But we have heard from many of you that sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming when you add somebody into a Waybook account, because where do they start? Yes, we've got the good logical order for it, but actually maybe we don't want them to do all of it immediately, or, you know, there should be a logical order to things. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where flows come in. So you'll see this beautiful button here, which has appeared called flows. The caveat here is this isn't released yet. Okay, yeah, Mahi's in as well, right? This is it. This hasn't been released yet, so please just bear with me. And if there are any bugs you see here, this is why it's on our internal testing accounts for anyone else's. But let's say we are onboarding a new marketing person, and I want to create a specific flow. So let's call them a marketing onboarding. Now, within this flow, what I want to do is I can give them access to everything. So we will also give them access and put them in the right groups, but I want to create a specific pathway through that content. So I'm going to start by saying I want them to look at the purpose and the background document of well, you see these little flickers. That's because it's not released yet. So, you know, we're going to show them the purpose and the background. Then we do want to see them, have them see the company history. Then once they've seen the company history, we want them to be able to look at how we do lead generation, because that might be, it's part of the sales handbook, but actually it's important for them within marketing. Then let's say, I know we want them to see the brand guidelines. So I'm going to create brand guidelines. We'll put that in. After that, we might want them to see the brand. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I'm certain that you get the point here. So now we'll create that. This is the flow for the marketing onboarding, and we can choose what access. So let's say we want anybody who has in marketing executive, we want them to be able to join, and then they'll see that within the flow. I am also, just so you can see what it looks like, I'm also going to enable it to myself, which is, that's fantastic. And now I can go back to the flow builder, and all I do, let's say, welcome marketing team. Okay, now I'm going to activate that flow, and boom, that is it. You will, anybody joining you within the marketing team that's in that group will go to their dashboard. Hang on a minute, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in trouble, everyone. So let me also add this to the everyone group. Okay, let me add that in there. Okay, cool. So now I've turned on that activate. The flow is active. I can go to my dashboard, and you will see on my dashboard, it's not just the standard process, because I have a flow that I need to complete. So this will actually show all of the flows that those people have to do. You'll click into that flow, and I've actually already completed that. So that's great. I go to the next one. This is reference. That's great. I go to the next one. And as I kind of mark this as complete and I move through this content, it will take me onto that next part of the flow. I will see these in the dashboard. As soon as I've completed that flow to 100%, it will disappear from the dashboard. But of course, it will show me what I have and haven't done on the left-hand side. And if I ever want to revisit a flow, I go into the flows and say, this was the process through the marketing onboarding. So that is what flows is. It was a bit touch and go there. I nearly got myself a bit lost, a bit confused. That is because this is the first time I've ever spoke out as I've done it. But of course, we all know that Suzanne and Essam there were the ones that forced me to do this on a product update. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure. We absolutely love working with you all, and we absolutely love building Waybook for you to create this single source of truth and enable you to onboard, train, and make your team way more efficient, so you can continue to have some more smooth scaling. We really thank you all so much for everything you do, and we can't wait to continue growing Waybook with you. I know there's a bit more chat and a bit more Q&A and conversation going on in the left-hand panel. So I'm just going to quickly scan. If anybody does have any thoughts or questions, please do let me know, and I'll jump into that now. But it looks like most things It's basically a few people just saying how much they love flows. So I'm very, very pleased with that. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time and attention today. I wish you all have a phenomenal time. I will be back next week with a Getting Started to Waybook webinar. We will actually always be at the same time. I'm actually in Washington, DC at the moment, despite usually being in London. So it will be a different part of my day, but the same time on your day. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you have an amazing one, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.